The call from the stars. The Luminary Alliance had known peace for 8,000 years. Their civilization spanned 17 star systems, a harmonious coalition of 6 sentient species who had evolved beyond the primitive instincts of violence and war. They were masters of art, philosophy, and technology. Their cities' elegant crystalline structures that channeled starlight into sustainable energy. The Luminary had created what many considered the perfect society. No hunger, no conflict, no borders. They had forgotten what it meant to fight, and that would be their undoing. Ambassador Sarai stood before the Grand Council, her translucent skin pulsing with distress patterns visible to all 6 species present. The emergency gathering had drawn representatives from every world in the Alliance, their holographic projections filling the circular chamber of the orbital station above Luminara's prime. The colony on Vexor has gone silent, Sarai announced, her melodic voice carrying across the chamber. There is nothing left, no debris, no energy signatures, no quantum echoes of life. It is as if the entire planetary system simply ceased to exist. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the assembly. High Elder Kurilla, whose memories stretched back 3 millennia, spoke with a voice like rustling leaves. This marks the 4th system lost in 60 cycles. The Void Harvesters grow bolder. They are no longer confined to the galactic rim. The Void Harvesters. The name itself sent waves of dread through the gathered delegates. They had appeared 2 years prior. Entities of unknown origin that consumed matter, energy, and even the fabric of space-time itself. They left nothing in their wake, not even the quantum signatures that all matter possessed. The Alliance's defensive measures had proven utterly ineffective. Their ships, designed for scientific exploration and cultural exchange, possessed no weapons. Their shields, built to withstand cosmic radiation and meteorite impacts, dissolved upon contact with the Harvesters. Our predictive models indicate they will reach Luminaris Prime within 30 cycles, continued Sarai, projecting a stellar map showing the Harvesters' methodical advance through Alliance territory. Evacuation protocols have begun, but we have nowhere to flee. At their current rate of expansion, the Harvesters will consume our entire region of space within 1 standard year. Silence fell over the council chamber. 8,000 years of peace had left them unprepared for extinction. It was Nixer, representative of the silicone-based drill species, who finally spoke the unthinkable. There is one option we have not considered. The crystalline being's voice resonated with reluctance. Beyond the crimson expanse, there exists a species classified as Danger Category Alpha, a species that, despite achieving faster-than-light travel, still engages in armed conflict. A species whose history is written in blood and fire. You speak of the humans, Elder Kella stated flatly. The forbidden species. I do. Nixer's crystalline form pulsed with anxiety. Our observation posts have monitored their development for centuries. They are violent, unpredictable, and fractious, but they possess something we have lost: the capacity and knowledge to wage war. The chamber erupted in protest. The humans of Earth were known to the Alliance only through remote observation. Their planet had been classified as a restricted zone precisely because of their propensity for conflict. Alliance scholars had watched in horrified fascination as humans fought among themselves for resources, ideology, and territory, even as they reached for the stars. They would destroy us themselves, argued the Glaven ambassador. Their psychology is fundamentally incompatible with civilization. Yet they have built cities, countered Nera. They create art. They sacrifice for one another, and most importantly, they fight. They know how to fight. Sarai studied the projection of Earth rotating slowly in the center of the chamber. A beautiful blue world, much like Luminaris Prime once was before the Alliance had expanded its civilization into orbiting habitats to preserve the planet's natural beauty. What are you suggesting? Nera Sarai asked quietly. That we send a quantum transmission to Earth. That we ask these humans for help. That we place our fate in the hands of predators, in the hope they will choose to hunt the Void Harvesters instead of us on Earth. Dr. Alinga Ray stared at the translated message in disbelief. As director of SETI's Quantum Communication Array, she had prepared for many scenarios regarding first contact. A desperate plea for military aid from an advanced alien civilization had not been among them. They're real, she whispered to the empty control room. and they're asking for our help. 24 hours later, Dr. Ray stood before the hastily assembled United Nations Security Council, the representatives of Earth's nations regarding her with expressions ranging from skepticism to outright disbelief. "Let me understand this correctly," said General Williams of the United States. "An alien civilization that has been secretly watching us for centuries has suddenly decided to break their non-inference policy because they're being attacked by some kind of cosmic horror that eats planets." "That's an oversimplification, but essentially correct," Alina replied, projecting the translated message onto the main screen. "The Luminary Alliance is a coalition of species that evolved beyond warfare thousands of years ago. They have no concept of defense or offensive capability. The entities they call void harvesters are consuming entire star systems, and the Luminary have no way to fight back, and they expect us to save them." The Russian representative scoffed with what? "Our most advanced ships barely reach Mars." Dr. Rice took a deep breath. "According to their transmission, they're willing to share their FTL technology with us in exchange for our help. They've included technical specifications that our scientists are already analyzing. It appears legitimate." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in faster than light travel, the stars within humanity's grasp. "There's something you all need to understand," Belina continued. "The Luminar didn't contact us because we're the closest or most advanced species. They contacted us because we're the only spacefaring civilization they know of that still remembers how to wage war. They're reaching out to us precisely because of what we consider our greatest shame, our inability to fully overcome our violent past." President Okada of Japan leaned forward. "You're saying they want us to fight their war because we're what? Savages. I'm saying they see in us something they need desperately. The knowledge of conflict, the understanding of strategy, the willingness to fight when necessary." Elena's voice grew passionate. "Yes, our history is marked by violence, but it's also marked by courage, by sacrifice, by the willingness to stand against tyranny and protect the innocent." She gestured to the star map, showing the harvesters advance. "This isn't just about saving an alien civilization. If these void harvesters consume the Luminary Alliance, what's to stop them from eventually reaching Earth? This is about the survival of all sentient life in our sector of the galaxy." 3 months later, humanity launched its response. Operation Defender comprised 27 ships, a hastily assembled fleet, combining military vessels retrofitted with Luminary FTL technology, and newly constructed hybrid craft, incorporating both human and alien designs. Each carried experimental weapon systems developed under a global cooperation initiative unprecedented in human history. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge of the EDF Intrepid, Earth's first true interstellar warship. At 42, she had spent her career commanding nuclear submarines, experience that had made her the logical choice to lead humanity's first military venture into deep space. The Intrepid had been a ballistic missile submarine before its conversion, its hull now reinforced with luminary metamaterials, its nuclear missiles replaced with theoretical weapons designed to disrupt the quantum structure of the void harvesters. "Final systems check complete," reported Commander Okafor, her XO. "All ships report ready for dimensional transition." Maya nodded, studying the faces of her crew: Russian, American, Chinese, Indian, Nigerian, Brazilian representatives of Earth's nations, working together with a unity of purpose that would have seemed impossible just months ago. "Send the final message to Earth Control," she ordered. Message transmitted. Confirmed. Communications Officer Park. Response received. "Godspeed, Defender Fleet. All of humanity stands with you." Maya took a deep breath and gave the order that would change the course of human history forever. "Engage FTL drives. Take us to the stars." The fleet vanished in 27 flashes of light, leaving Earth behind to begin the 3-week journey to luminary space and humanity's first interstellar war. When humanity fights, the Defender fleet emerged from FTL on the outskirts of the luminary system, and immediately, Captain Chen understood the gravity of their mission. The outer planets had already been consumed, where gas giants should have orbited. Only empty space remained. The void harvesters were visible even at this distance. Massive undulating distortions in space-time that seemed to bend light around them, their surfaces rippling with patterns that hurt the human eye to observe. "My God," whispered Commander Okafor beside her. There, eating the star, the luminary sun, once a stable G-type star similar to Earth's own, was visibly diminished. Tendrils of stellar matter streaming toward the largest harvester in spiraling patterns that defied the laws of physics, as humans understood them. "Receiving transmission from Luminaris Prime," announced Officer Park there. "They're welcoming us." The main view screen activated to reveal Ambassador Sarai. Up close, the alien was even more striking than the briefing materials had suggested. Humanoid in basic form, but with translucent skin that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Her large, multifaceted eyes regarded the human captain with an expression Chen couldn't quite interpret. "Captain Chen of Earth," Sarai spoke, her words translated by the communication system. "Your arrival brings hope to the Luminary. We watch in awe as your vessels approach bearing weapons of war, a sight unseen in our realm for millennia." Maya straightened her uniform. "Ambassador Sarai, we come in response to your call for aid. The people of Earth stand ready to assist the Luminary Alliance against the threat of the Void Harvesters. We have prepared as you requested," Sarai continued. 50,000 of our people have been evacuated from the orbital habitats to make room for your soldiers." She pronounced the unfamiliar word carefully, as if it were from a dead language recently rediscovered. "We appreciate your cooperation," Maya replied. "Now we need all the information you have on these harvesters, their movements, behaviors, any patterns you've observed." The meeting that followed revealed the extent of the challenge they faced. The luminary scientists had extensive observations, but few insights. The void harvesters seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time, making them near impossible to affect with conventional weapons. They communicated through some unknown means and demonstrated collective behavior, yet each could act independently. "They cannot be reasoned with," explained Elder Kurilla, who had joined the briefing. "We attempted communication, but received no response. They simply consume." General Rodriguez, military commander of the Defender Fleet, leaned forward. "Have they shown any vulnerabilities? Any aversion to particular energies or materials?" The luminary representatives exchanged glances. "We have not thought in terms of vulnerabilities," admitted Sarai. "Our science has been focused on understanding, not harming." "Well," Rodriguez said grimly, "that's about to change." The first engagement came sooner than expected. While the human command was still developing battle plans, 3 harvesters broke off from the main cluster around the star and accelerated toward Luminous Prime. "They've never moved with such purpose before," Sarai said, her skin pulsing with alarm patterns. "It's as if they sense your presence, your threat." "Then we've got their attention," Maya replied. "General, deploy the fleet." The human warships moved to intercept, forming a defensive perimeter between the harvesters and the heavily populated orbital habitats. First contact was made by the EDF Hyperion, which launched a barrage of quantum disruption torpedoes at the nearest harvester. The torpedoes, designed to destabilize the quantum field that seemed to sustain the harvesters, phased through the entity without effect. The harvester responded by extending a tendril of distorted space that touched the Hyperion's hull. Where it made contact, matter simply ceased to exist. A perfect cylinder of ship simply vanished, exposing decks to vacuum and killing 27 crew members instantly. "Conventional weapons ineffective," reported Commander Okafor, his voice tight. "The Hyperion is taking heavy damage." Maya watched in horror as a second ship, the Dauntless, suffered a similar fate. Humanity's most advanced weapons were useless against an enemy that existed partially beyond the rules of conventional physics. In the observation center, Dr. Rice worked frantically with the combined team of human and luminary scientists. The luminary provided data, while the humans proposed increasingly desperate attack scenarios. "Wait," Elena said suddenly, studying the real-time quantum readings from the battlefield. "Look at this pattern. When they feed, when they're actively consuming matter, they have to fully manifest in our dimension. Can we force that manifestation?" asked a luminary physicist. Elena's eyes widened with realization. "Bait. We need bait." On the bridge of the Intrepid, Maya received Dr. Ray's desperate plan with stoic resolve. "You want us to feed them controlled amounts of matter, to force them into our dimension. Then hit them with everything we've got during that vulnerable moment. It's the only weakness we've identified. Alina's voice crackled over the comm. We need high-density material, something rich in energy that will take them time to consume. Maya exchanged glances with General Rodriguez. The reactor cores, she said quietly. If we extract the fusion reactors from our propulsion systems, we'd be stranded here. Rodriguez finished, but it might work. The desperate gambit was approved. 5 ships volunteered their reactor cores, knowing it meant they would never return home. The cores were modified to create a synchronized chain reaction, then jettisoned in a pattern calculated to draw the harvesters into a tight formation. The plan worked better than they dared hope. All 3 harvesters converged on the energy-rich bait, extending their consumption fields around the reactors. As they fed, their usual phase shifting became unstable. They manifested more fully in normal space. Now, ordered Maya, all ships, fire everything you've got. 22 ships unleashed their remaining arsenal simultaneously. Kinetic impactors, nuclear warheads, antimatter charges, and the experimental quantum disruptors. The combined firepower would have destroyed a small moon. When the blinding light faded, 2 harvesters had been completely destroyed. The third, damaged but still intact, retreated toward the safety of its brethren near the star. A cheer went up across the human fleet, the first victory against an enemy that had seemed invincible. But Ma and her officers knew the truth. They had expended nearly half their weapons to destroy just 2 harvesters. Dozens more remained. We need a new strategy, Maya told the War Council hours later. We can't sacrifice a reactor core for every harvester we want to destroy. I might have something, said Chief Engineer Takahashi. The Luminary use quantum entanglement for communication. If we could entangle a sufficient mass with something the harvesters have already consumed, we could pull that mass back into normal space, Elena finished, understanding immediately, and possibly disrupt the harvesters from within. The plan required sacrifice to create an entanglement strong enough. They would need to send a ship with a volunteer crew directly into a harvester. That ship would deploy quantum entanglement devices moments before being consumed, creating a link to the fleet's remaining reactor cores. Captain Jinli, of the EDF Phoenix, volunteered immediately. My ship was already damaged in the first encounter, he said simply, and my crew stands ready. 20 hours later, the Phoenix accelerated toward the main cluster of harvesters, its systems running at maximum capacity. The remaining fleet positioned itself at the calculated safe distance. Reactor cores primed for the quantum entanglement event. Phoenix approaching terminal coordinates, reported Officer Park, her voice tight with emotion. On screen, the small warship was dwarfed by the massive reality-distorting presence of the harvester swarm. Captain Lee's voice came through clearly. For Earth, for all life in the galaxy, it has been an honor. The Phoenix plunged into the heart of the largest harvester and vanished. For 3 excruciating seconds, nothing happened. Then the entanglement devices activated. The reaction surpassed all expectations. As the quantum fields collapsed, the harvesters seemed to implode, their structures unable to maintain coherence, as space itself rebelled against their presence. One after another, they collapsed in cascading failures that rippled through their collective. When it was over, the luminary sun still burned, diminished, but alive. Of the 57 void harvesters that had threatened the system, only scattered fragments remained, already dissipating into quantum foam. The cost had been high, 8 human ships destroyed, over 600 lives lost. But Luminary's prime had been saved, and with it, the 17 worlds of the Alliance. 3 days later, Captain Chen stood in the Great Hall of Communion on Luminous Prime, the first human to set foot on an alien world. Before her stood the assembled representatives of the Luminary Alliance. Their forms varied, but their purpose united. The Alliance owes humanity a debt we cannot repay, Elder Corella said, her ancient voice carrying across the vast chamber. You have saved not just our worlds, but our very existence. We came because you asked, Maya replied simply, because that's what humans do. When someone cries out for help, we answer. Ambassador Sarai stepped forward, her luminescent skin patterns forming what Maya now recognized as expressions of deep emotion. We observed your species for centuries, and saw only your capacity for violence. We failed to recognize that same capacity gives rise to your greatest strength. Your willingness to fight not just for yourselves, but for others. She gestured toward a crystalline monument that now dominated the center of the hall, a perfect replica of the EDF Phoenix, in the moment before sacrifice. We have much to learn from humanity, Sarai continued. Not to become warriors ourselves, but to understand that peace is not merely the absence of conflict. It is something that sometimes must be defended. Maya thought of Captain Lee and his crew, of the families back on Earth, who would receive news of both victory and loss, of humanity's first steps into a larger universe, driven not by conquest, but by a call for help. And we have much to learn from the Luminary, she answered. Perhaps together, we can build something greater than either of us could alone. As she spoke, the first transport ships from Earth were already approaching Luminary space. Not bearing weapons this time, but scientists, diplomats, and engineers. The stars had called, humanity had answered, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the vastness of space, other civilizations took note. The dangerous species from Earth had emerged from its cradle at last, not as conquerors, but as defenders. And while some felt fear at this development, many more felt something long forgotten: hope.